The Foreign Service Institute, the United States government's official language training agency, has ranked Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean as taking over 2,200 hours of study to reach professional proficiency. That is roughly 88 weeks of full-time, intensive classroom learning. For context, Spanish takes around 600 hours. So some languages are not just harder, they are more than 3 times harder. And the reasons why go far deeper than most people ever realize. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to find out exactly which languages break English speakers the hardest, why certain linguistic features act like cognitive brick walls, and what science says about the real obstacles your brain is fighting against. We will also get into something that genuinely surprises most people, the one category of difficulty that has nothing to do with grammar or vocabulary, and everything to do with how your brain was wired before you ever touched a textbook. Stay with us, because this changes how you think about language learning entirely. To understand why some languages are so difficult, you first need to understand where English sits in the global language family. English is a Germanic language, but it has absorbed enormous amounts of Latin, French, and Norse vocabulary over centuries of conquest and contact. This hybrid nature actually makes English relatively accessible as a second language for speakers of many European tongues. But it also means that English speakers have grown up inside a very specific linguistic framework, one that relies on word order to express meaning, uses a relatively simple alphabet, and has essentially no tonal system. When you encounter a language that breaks every single one of those assumptions at once, the difficulty does not just add up. It multiplies. The Foreign Service Institute divides languages into 4 categories based on how long they take English speakers to learn. Category 1 languages like Spanish, French, and Italian take around 600 to 750 hours. Category 2 languages like German and Indonesian take about 900 hours. Category 3, which includes languages like Hebrew and Polish, sits around 1,100 hours. And then there is Category 4, the supergroup. Arabic, Mandarin Chinese, Cantonese, Japanese, and Korean. All rated at 2,200 hours or more. These are officially designated as languages of exceptional difficulty. But what actually makes them so hard? Let us start with Arabic. Arabic is not one language, it is a collection of dialects spread across more than 20 countries, held together by a formal written standard called Modern Standard Arabic that almost nobody actually speaks in daily conversation. This means that if you learn Modern Standard Arabic, you can read newspapers and follow formal speeches, but you might still struggle to order food in Cairo or understand a casual conversation in Beirut. Beyond that, Arabic is written right to left, uses a script of 28 letters that change shape depending on where they appear in a word, and almost never writes short vowels, meaning you have to infer the pronunciation and meaning of words from context. Arabic also has a grammatical feature called the dual form, where nouns have 3 states, singular, dual, and plural, each with different rules. And the root system, where most words derive from a 3-consonant root that carries a core meaning, is elegant but deeply unfamiliar to English speakers. But here is what nobody talks about when it comes to Arabic difficulty, the emotional weight of it. Arabic is deeply tied to Islam and classical poetry, and many learners feel an almost spiritual pressure to get it exactly right. That psychological layer adds a form of anxiety that textbooks never measure. Now let us talk about the languages that rank even higher in raw structural complexity for English speakers, Mandarin Chinese and Japanese. Mandarin is tonal, meaning the same syllable spoken in 4 different tones produces 4 completely different words. The word ma can mean mother, hemp, horse, or scold depending on your pitch. Miss the tone and you have not just mispronounced a word, you have said a completely different one. Beyond tones, Mandarin has no alphabet. Instead, it uses a logographic writing system where each character represents a word or meaningful unit. To read a basic newspaper, you need around 2,000 characters. To be considered fully literate, you need closer to 4,000. And unlike an alphabet where you can decode new words letter by letter, each character must be memorized individually as a unit of shape, sound, and meaning all at once. Japanese compounds this challenge in a uniquely aggressive way. Japanese uses not one writing system but 3 simultaneously: hiragana, katakana, and kanji. Hiragana and katakana are phonetic syllabaries with 46 characters each. Kanji are Chinese-derived logographic characters, of which Japanese learners are expected to know around 2,136 for standard literacy. A single sentence in Japanese might use all three writing systems at once. Beyond writing, Japanese grammar is structured in a way that places verbs at the end of sentences, uses a system of honorifics that changes verb forms based on social hierarchy, and omits subjects entirely when context makes them clear. English speakers must essentially rebuild how they construct thought at the sentence level. Korean shares that verb final structure but adds its own layer of complexity with an intricate system of speech levels. Korean has 6 or 7 different speech levels that change not just vocabulary but entire grammatical endings depending on who you are talking to, a close friend, an older stranger, your boss, or a customer. Getting these wrong is not just grammatically incorrect, it is socially offensive. However, Korean does have one significant advantage: its alphabet, Hangul, was deliberately designed in the 15th century to be easy to learn, and most people can read it within a few days. That is cold comfort when you realize the grammar is still waiting for you. What ties all of these Category 4 languages together is that they each attack English speakers on multiple fronts at once. It is not just the grammar. It is not just the writing system. It is not just the tones or the speech levels. It is all of them, simultaneously, requiring you to rewire deeply automatic habits that your brain formed during the most neurologically plastic years of your life. And this is where the neuroscience becomes genuinely fascinating. Research from MIT and other institutions has shown that adult language learners process grammar differently from native speakers, relying more on explicit memory systems rather than the implicit procedural memory that children use. When a native Japanese speaker reads kanji, they are activating automatic, deeply embedded pattern recognition. When an adult English speaker tries to do the same, they are consciously retrieving memorized information, which is slower, more tiring, and more fragile under stress. This is not a deficiency, it is simply how adult learning works. But it means the cognitive cost of these languages is genuinely higher for adults, not just anecdotally but measurably so. There is also the question of cultural distance. Language does not exist in a vacuum. It carries assumptions about time, hierarchy, identity, and relationships. The Japanese concept of the meaningful use of silence and space, is embedded in the language's structure. Arabic carries layers of Quranic reference in everyday speech. Mandarin idioms called qingyu are 4-character phrases drawn from ancient historical stories, and without knowing those stories, the phrase is meaningless. Learning these languages requires not just linguistic study but cultural immersion that goes far beyond vocabulary lists. So where does this leave you if you are thinking about tackling one of these languages? The research is actually encouraging. Studies have shown that consistent daily exposure, even 30 minutes a day, produces measurable neural changes within weeks. The learners who succeed at Category 4 languages are not necessarily more talented. They are more patient, more consistent, and more willing to sit with confusion for longer than the average learner. They also tend to find community with native speakers early, because nothing accelerates acquisition faster than genuine communicative pressure. The hardest languages to learn for English speakers are hard not because they are impossible, but because they demand that you let go of almost every assumption your native tongue has built into your thinking. That is not a limitation. That is an invitation. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Lang Bridge for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.